Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be on mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I meant to do this video at the beginning of the month, but with finals coming up and work, and I was just feeling overwhelmed, so I am doing it at the end of the month, but that's okay. I had planned last year to do this video, but last year actually I wasn't in the greatest mindset, so this is perfect. So I didn't post it then, but I'm going to do it now and kind of just talk about mental health and what I've experienced and what I've gone through. I'm super nervous right now. I have like my little pillow for comfort and I lit my candle. Kind of just even thinking about talking about it makes me a little anxious, but that's okay. We have to talk about it, and I'm going to. Okay, so I will start off. I wrote really quick, some notes really quick. I don't really have like a plan on how to make this video. I'm kind of just going to talk, and I hope you guys understand and can relate and understand where I'm coming from. And that is just my best wishes for this video. So I'll start with anxiety because that's kind of where that started. So looking back now, I'm 26 now, and after, speaking with like a therapist and even taking like my psychology classes, I really think that this had started like when I was younger as separation anxiety. Like whenever I would have to leave my mom, or my mom would leave us with a family member. I still remember crying when I would have to leave her. She would leave me somewhere. But I also, sorry, I'm saying a lot, I get nervous. I do remember still like crying when she would leave me, but then I would cry when I would have to leave my sister's house because I didn't want to leave my sister. I go with I really think that's probably where it started, way back before I knew anything. So with anxiety, I will get very fidgety. Like if I feel anxious, like I'll start tapping a pen or playing with my hands a lot. I feel like this weird tension like behind my head. I feel very overwhelmed, kind of like out of control, and I do not like that feeling. I would tend, not anymore, but this was in the past, hide behind humor, just be the kind of the super outgoing person. And that's, I think, how I dealt with that. I didn't know too much what was going on. I felt like I had a lot of friends and a lot of people I could have talked to, but I didn't. I think I've always been kind of reserved in a way. I don't really talk about my feelings too much with people when I'm going through something. Instead of hanging out with friends, I kind of go back into like a little turtle shell and let it pass, or I'll deal with it for a week or two or however long, and then I'll be like ready to re-enter the world with my friends. And that's that. I feel a lot better with anxiety, and I'll go more into why. I feel like it's gotten way more under control, but I did deal with anxiety for a very long time. It did start when I was very little, and I noticed it spiked when I was in high school, probably a senior or junior in high school. That's when it got really bad, and then it just got worse from there. And then depression. I do have depression, and it started probably 13. I put or 15 question mark. My thing with depression is I'll feel like super happy, but then my lows, like when I feel really sad, like they're very like low lows. They're very dark, and scary and lonely, and it's a very like dark, confusing time. The depression, I think, started when an incident happened, and I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about it or just let it be on camera for people to know, because I haven't talked about it. But it started at a young age, and it got worse from there. I didn't talk, like I said, I wouldn't talk to people about it. I was pretty much like, I think I was pretty much always kind of like the silly person in my group. Or making jokes, and I still am. I'm just super comedic. I don't know. I think it's starting to show more where I'm not as like outgoing or friendly, I guess, with people, just because I feel like I've distanced myself a lot from a lot of people that I think it just happens with age. You know, you have your whole group of friends and you have a whole group of people that you're just talking with, and as you get older, like that circle gets smaller and smaller. And I'm okay with letting go of people and things. I'm not social how I used to be anymore, and I don't know. Let's see. I'm just gonna kind of skip through it and kind of I come back, because I don't know what else much to say about that, except I do have depression, and sometimes I'm fine and there'll be a month or two where I'll be fine, but I feel like there's kind of like a pattern where I'm like, oh, I'm okay, but I brace myself, because then something will happen to trigger me and then I just won't be okay. And that sucks, because it can be the smallest thing that will put me in this dark hole. And the only way that I can always explain it is if you've fallen into like this dirt pit, like, and you're just stuck at the bottom and you can't get up. There's no ladder, there's no rope for you to get out, and it's just dark, and you just, how do you get out? And I just want someone just to like reach in and take me out. And it's hard, because that's not how it works, unfortunately, but that is the best way that I can explain how I feel with that. Maybe some of you guys do feel like that or feel a different way, and if you guys can relate, I'm glad, because I don't know how else to explain it. Okay, and the third one will be PTSD. Let's see. So something happened, like I said, when I was 15, and I think that was going to be the start of PTSD, is post-traumatic stress disorder. So something that's really traumatizing triggers you that you just can't let go of, and it just keeps replaying in your mind. Would that be like nightmares, or seeing something, or smelling something, or hearing something, or going near something? So it definitely began when I was 15, and I was in that incident, I was very angry, and I would cry a lot. And I remember there would be times where I'll be fine, but it was like in 6 months, like increments. Like I would be sad, and then I would block it out. I wouldn't think about anything. And then like 6 months would hit, and I would remember all over again, and I would get mad all over again, and I would get triggered all over again. And then like that month would pass, and then I would block it out, try not to think about it. And then another 6 months, there'd be like where it would hit me all over again. And it really sucks. It was just this pattern where like I knew it was coming. So that was from 15. And I'm 26 now, and I think it was just maybe a year or two ago where that doesn't affect me as much, where I can think about it and I can probably not be triggered and just kind of have this wall, or like this bubble where I don't let it in. But then different types of things are triggering me. So when I was 20, my brother was in this really bad accident, my little brother, and I was the first person that he called while everything was happening, and we thought we were going to lose him, and it was the scariest thing in my whole life because I can't imagine living without my little brother. I'm 26, he's 25. We're just a year apart, and I had my daughter. She was just a year old, and that really changed like everything. It just made everything just 100 times worse. So I was 20 and he was 19 when this happened. So, oh wait, I was 21, he was 20. And that started a whole nother like domino effect after that had happened. But I think the hardest one has been my experience with a domestic violence relationship that was where I thought I wasn't gonna make it out, where I really felt trapped, where I was so like mind trapped. I get upset because I remember watching like shows or like movies where like battered women would stay with their husbands, and I was just like, why do they stay? I don't get it. Like I'm never gonna let that happen to me. Like that's so dumb. And then before I knew it, it happened, and I just had no escape. I had no family around. I didn't know. I already don't talk to people, and then this was happening. I'm like, no way can people know this is happening. No way can I ever tell my family. Like, no, like, I don't know. It was a lot of times where I thought, I'm like, this is it. This is it. You know, I'm upset that it happened, but really when you're in that situation, like a domestic violence situation, it really just comes all at once and you just don't know how to get out. Like, it's a lot harder than, oh, just leave. Because I wish I could have just done that from the get, and I couldn't, and it's a lot harder. And when you get so like mind fucked, you just, am I wrong? And everyone else like is like right. Like it's the most confusing thing I ever went through, and I'm glad I'm out of it now. But because of that, and even getting out, I was still being followed. I was still being stalked. I would change my number, I changed jobs, I changed where I was living, and still like would be like fucked with, you know. It was super frustrating being in that, and kind of having it come on like at nothing. Like I never expected this. Where is this coming from? And that's just a whole nother story that I'm just not ready to say everything about. But just that, you know, it was a really tough time, and it affected me for years. Up until now, I am still healing from it, but it was taking over my life. Like last year in January, so January 2020, right before the pandemic hit, I think I was at my like tipping point. I could no longer handle it by myself. I couldn't like let it go. I was being crippled by like this trauma. Like it was getting worse. I did try to talk about like, hey, I'm kind of feeling sad, depressed with, she wasn't my doctor when I was pregnant, but she was like just some lady who would check in and make sure that I had everything for my baby. I had, I don't know, just resources. And I had mentioned to her, man, I forget what she did, but I had mentioned to her that I was feeling sad, and she just didn't ask why or nothing, just blew me off and said it was baby blues. And for me to never reach out to anyone, never say anything about anything, and finally like try to get help, and someone to blow me off and say it was baby blues, that shut me down for another 5 years. Like I didn't say anything, and I was like, this is why, and no one cares, or I'll just deal with it. And that really sucks, because I really could, a lot of things could have changed at that point, and they didn't. But don't blow it off, because a lot of people cannot handle it, and it's very hard, and we lose a lot of lives each year because of suicide, and it's scary, and it's something that I feel we always say, oh, I wish I would have saw the signs, I wish we could have done something. So I don't want you guys to ever feel that with anyone. Just, I wish I'd done something else, or I wish I would have helped. So just don't turn people away. You honestly never know what anyone is going through, ever. I did rely on alcohol a lot to help me forget, because I didn't want to remember. I didn't want to think about a lot of things that ate at me and made me feel sad, or just, I don't know, if gross with myself and just disappointed. It helped block out a lot of things and made me happy. And I would keep drinking because I was happy while I was drinking. I was like, hey, like everyone, let's drink, let's take shots, and let's just have a good time. But after I hit 23, the drinking was no longer like my escape. It became my enemy. It totally switched around, and whatever memories I had came out more when I was drinking, especially like if I would be thinking about it before and then drink to try to forget. It no longer worked. Like it no longer worked. It worked against me. It would make me so angry and so upset and scared, and it would trigger me, and I would be confused. It turned into like my worst enemy. Like what just happened? What just happened? So I would cope with alcohol and drinking and still just go on about my day and do what I have to do, and without thinking about things. And that, so about 3 years now, it hasn't helped, and it doesn't work anymore, especially if I've been thinking about it and I'm trying to forget. It makes me feel worse. And maybe you guys can relate, and there's different ways of coping. You know, people are addicted to something to try to deal with things they don't want to face or don't want to think about. And my choice was alcohol. And I had mentioned last January was kind of where I hit my peak, and I have my primary care with Kaiser, so I called my Kaiser doctor, let her know that I needed to see someone, so referred me to a psychologist. Was seeing her for a little bit, and then the pandemic hit. So let's see, I did a one-on-one therapy. Our sessions were an hour long. We probably only got through like 3, before everything was shut down. I was also attending like 2-hour-long PTSD group meetings, I think Tuesdays, like every week, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, to try to deal with that, because at that point my anxiety and my PTSD and everything was just out of control. Like I would see a car that this person would drive and it would trigger me and I would be freaked out, and I was just on edge all the time, and it was like horrible. I could not live. Like I was just crying, and it was like horrible. Like PTSD, I had figured that that's what I had, but then finally telling me like, yeah, this is what that is. This is why you feel like that. It was a lot. Like, I just felt like what the hell's wrong with you? Like, why? Like, and it didn't help that the people in my PTSD class were older, you know, like 40 and older, and had just these problems, or were even like vets or something. And I was just there, and I was like, it made me feel, I guess, like I'm just gonna be honest, this is how I felt. I felt like a loser and like a failure. I'm like, wow, dude, like what the hell, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you here? Like, they've gone through something like you haven't. You couldn't handle it. It didn't, at first it did not help, and that's how I felt, and I'm being honest. But after a while, you know, I think you just learn that a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's way more common than you guys think. And especially, I am Latina, so especially in our household, we don't talk about our problems, and we definitely don't tell other people about our problems. And that's not good because maybe things could have changed when I was younger, and my mental health could have been a lot differently, and I wouldn't have anxiety for all these years, and I would have known how to deal better with depression. But you just don't talk about your problems. And I know like Hispanics aren't the only one. It's a lot of people, and a lot of men too, who just don't talk about it, but it's real, and it's hard. Everyone's going through something, and yeah, it's a battle. Every single day is a battle, and I'm a lot better now, and that's because, sorry, I'm just jumping all over the place. So after the shutdown, no more one-on-one therapy sessions. The group sessions, they were just canceled for a few months until they were on Zoom, but I wasn't going to be on Zoom. I already had some classes on Zoom, and I had to go to work too, and then I just couldn't be another 2 hours on the computer. It doesn't feel personal, and it's not the same. So I just stopped. But mid-pandemic, I was struggling a lot, so I just messaged my doctor, and I had never wanted to consider medication to help with anxiety or depression, but I think at this point I was like, I have to do something, because I'm just at like the end. I can't do it. So I was on Lexapro, which is antidepressants, and I'll probably do a separate video with how I felt on Lexapro, but basically it helped my anxiety. Probably if I was like at 100% anxiety, it lowered it by 80%. Like, I was hardly no anxiety. I wasn't anxious about anything. I was kind of like, just whatever. And with the depression part of it, it helped, but it took a while. I was going through this like hump I couldn't get over. It's like, you know, like a speed bump and you're just driving slow, so you can't get over the speed bump. What Lexapro did for me was just give me that push to get over that bump, and then just breeze on by. How I felt was I had a cap on the amount of happiness I could be, but I also had a cap on the amount of sadness I could feel. So when I was on Lexapro, the antidepressants, let's say, before I can be like super, super happy, but on Lexapro, you could just be this happy. That's as much happy you were allowed. So those times that I did see my friends or hang out with them, I was just, if we were at their house, I would just be on the couch ready to go. Like, I didn't want to talk to anyone and I didn't want to be there. And it's because it's not that I was angry at anybody. I felt like a zombie. And I was super forgetful about everything. Like, I could not remember anything at all. But I'll just do another review on Lexapro later. But that's what helped me get over that hump. I did have to get off of it. So I was on Lexapro for 4 months. And when I got off of it, it was really hard. I did have a lot of like negative side effects getting off of it. But that's something else too. And ever since I've been off of it, so I got off of it in December or November, and it's like 6 months later, my anxiety is not where it used to be. It's not at 100 and it's not lowered like how it was while I was on Lexapro, but I would say I'm like at a 50%, which compared to how I was is a lot better. There are times where I do feel overwhelmed, but my anxiety has gone down like so much. And I think I've just learned to better deal with it because I had to get off Lexapro. I had to find other solutions, other ways to kind of cope. So that has helped. As far as depression, I think it's a lot better. I have fewer episodes of depression, where before it was a lot more consistent, and now it's, I don't know, like my sadness isn't all the way sad. I haven't got to that like dark pit I was talking about earlier. And as far as the PTSD goes, I have it on my calendar. Last week was basically my last one-on-one therapy session. I did end up going back like on video conference just because I needed to talk to someone and try to figure this out. And basically I made good progress and I figured out some things that helped me out. And basically my psychologist said that we'll just meet on a need basis. Basically, I'll just message her, call her office whenever I need to schedule something, but I no longer need to like schedule every month or, you know, bi-weekly check-ins. I'm okay right now, and I've been okay. Whatever would trigger me before, whatever. However, I felt like that crippling, like, stress, like trauma, where everything would trigger me. I wouldn't go to certain locations, or I wouldn't go past certain things. I'd be so scared, like so scared. It was overwhelming. I no longer feel like that. I feel like I have a lot more control of my life, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress. So I'm very happy, but it's taking years to get to this point. I want you guys to be okay. So just reach out, or just be in the comments, you know, reach out to me. I just want everyone to be okay. So that is it for this video. I know it's super long, but I hope I covered everything. I hope you guys can understand my story and what I've gone through. And I just want to be super helpful for you guys, whoever's going through something. You guys, please be nice to each other, talk to each other, message me or comment, and I'll comment back, or just, you guys are not alone. This is something that is not talked about. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm sorry I'm just posting it now, but I know someone needs to see this and needs to hear it, but everything's gonna be okay. I've been in a very dark place where I just don't know. I just don't know, and I'm just confused and lost and scared and lonely, but everything's gonna be okay. I guess that's all for now. Love you guys and take care.